All right. So I'm here with Mark Podolsky. So I just want to thank you, first of all, for giving me the chance to interview you. You're like you're a mentor of mine. I started out, I had a side hustle with Bitcoin that led me to look for new opportunities because I got a good start in that, but I wanted to build a more sustainable business. And the way I found out about you was through Nick Loper's Side Hustle Nation podcast, and that's what kind of kicked everything off for me. And so I wanted to interview you to kind of learn more about you, learn more about your backstory, and kind of find out how you got into this business from the very, very beginning when you were still working full time.
Yeah, so if we rewinded 2000, I was a micromanaged, overstressed, 45-minute commute and back to work. Investment banker, and it was miserable. Like I wouldn't get the Sunday blues, anticipating Monday coming around. I'd get the Friday blues, anticipating the weekend going by really fast, and having to be back at work on Monday. So my firm hires this guy, and he's telling me there's a side hustle. He's buying up raw land, pennies on the dollar, at tax deed auctions. And he told me he's making a 300% return on his investment. So I'm looking at companies all day long, and a great company has 15% EBITDA margins or free cash flow. Average
Right.
companies 10%. And I'm looking at companies all day long less than 10%. So of course, I don't believe them. So we go to New Mexico together. I got $3,000 saved up for car repairs. I do exactly what he tells me to do. I buy up 10 half-acre parcels, an average price of $300 each. I flip them all online. They make an average of $1,200 each. It worked 300%.
So was this an in-person auction that you went to in like 2000? So you were in like Phoenix area? So is this like Maricopa
I was
County?
in New Mexico. I drove out there with my buddy,
Oh, okay.
and we had
Okay.
researched the tax deed list. These things are going for minimum bid,
Yeah.
and we would drive out and look at the property, take pictures, and then
Oh, you
after the
did.
auction,
So
oh
so
yeah,
you okay, so this is back before, VAs. This is back before like,
this is old school.
WeGoLook.com. This is you. So wait, the two of you actually went out there together and
Yes,
oh,
and
okay,
did it.
gotcha.
And then after the auction, like I had these 10 properties, I'd go to planning and zoning and get the plat maps.
No way. Okay, cool.
So then we would go, we'd buy the plat maps, so we'd have the maps. Then we'd have to buy a subdivision map, so we had the
Okay.
map.
Wow.
And then we'd have to convert all of that digitally to sell
Right.
it. So I'm taking like digital like pictures, like or scanning it back in the day,
Yeah,
and
right.
I'd
So that's this
scan.
ex this is like the cool part because I feel like you've done thousands and thousands and thousands of interviews. And I mean, I've heard a little bit about this story because I've been to boot camps before. But this is like so cool to hear like how the first, I mean, you were like the bleeding edge of this whole, business of, selling land online.
Yeah.
So where did that guy, your friend, I know his name, I won't say his name, but where did he get the idea? Where did he
He
get the idea?
he got the idea from a guy who was in the slot machine business.
Oh my God, no way.
And so
Okay.
the slot machine guy was doing this, and he's like, I think this is a thing. And then
Okay.
he told me about it,
Yeah.
and we started doing it, and
So
it
was
was
this
working.
So was this just so in the beginning it sounds like it was just on is like eBay? Was that pretty much the only
It was
path?
just eBay, and then bid for assets was where I would
Oh,
just
okay.
auction off these pieces of raw land. Now, once those two platforms started to dwindle, that's when we started getting really sophisticated with other platforms and other ways to market the property.
I gotcha. Okay. So when you did that first deal, did you immediately plow everything right back into this new business? That was like
Yeah,
so
absolutely. So
so okay, so when was that, sorry to interrupt. When was that first like aha moment? Was it when you listed it on eBay and you saw the views and and the bids, was that like kind of the most exciting moment, or was it when the sale went through? Was it when the cash hit the account? When did it kind of turn on for you, like, wow, like I'm really onto something here?
Okay, so I'm really risk averse. And
Sure.
remember, I'm coming from an environment where I'm looking at companies all day long.
Yeah.
So, and I have in the back of my mind, what's the average company's lifespan? What is it? I think it's like 80% of companies go under in 5 years
Yeah, right.
or less, and then after that, it's like the rest go out in 10 years.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult to build a sustainable company for the long term.
Right.
Very, very difficult. I mean, you can look at Kodak, right?
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, you know, so from the very beginning, I'm like, this is a lark. I never took
Right.
it seriously, and
Sure.
and so I thought to myself, like, I would do the numbers. I was always analyzing the market. And I would say to my wife, I'm like, at the end of the day, this is a 30% margin business. Like, these margins are unsustainable. 300 to 1,000% is just unsustainable. But I'd never realized just how inefficient this market was. And even with all the technology today, nobody still knows what the value of land is. So our margins have remained the same. So when I
Right.
quit my job, I always kind of thought in the back of my mind, well, at some point I'm going to have to pivot with this in some respect.
Yeah.
And even today, 20 years later, I still wake up with the same sort of anxiety. If everything's going to change, what's not going to change? And the answer is still the same. I still think people are always going to want a good deal,
Right.
which we provide them. And I think people are always going to want a real asset. And
Right.
today, in the midst of a global pandemic, we've never been busier because
Sure.
there's a flight to real assets. There's a flight to this amazing inflation hedge, and you've got an asset that lasts forever. So,
And on the and the people that own land, they own an illiquid asset. It's not like you could just pick up the phone and call someone and get cashed out. If people own
right,
land and it's in New Mexico, they're in Connecticut or wherever, they can't easily get cash. And so, when you mail offer letters out, people are getting a cash offer that they can, for a lot of these people, it's a relief. They're stuck with some small tiny parcel that they can't sell easily. They don't want to call a realtor. They don't want to have to, call the county, find out how it's zoned, the taxes, all that stuff listed on all these sites, deal with all the tire kickers. So when you mail offer letters out to these people, I mean, you're throwing them, to some of these people, a lifeline, and you're basically saying, hey, I can take care of this problem for you. You can just get a check and walk away, and we'll totally take this problem off your hands.
yeah, no, that's exactly it. That's the model, and literally hasn't changed in 20 years. So, yeah, I mean, I think that there wasn't for me ever an aha moment just because it's not the way I'm built. And to this day, I mean, I had that podcast, The Best Passive Income Model.
Yeah.
And I would talk to
Yeah.
all these niches. I'm like, do I have the best passive income model? And I still keep asking myself that today. Is this the best passive income model? And I'm flexible like a yogi. Like, I'm open-minded to it. If you find
Yeah.
something better, let me know. I'll do it. I don't know what's better.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's so cool about this niche is that there's just enough friction in it that it makes it very sustainable. Meaning, if you own land, to sell land, it's still very cumbersome. And to buy land, it's kind of a process. You can't really just buy anything. You kind of want to talk to people. So I feel like there's enough friction on the buy side and the sell side that if you're in the middle, where you can make it easy for people to buy and make it easy for people to sell, you can do well, and you can definitely take
Yeah.
care of people who have something they don't want, and then you can also make it easy for people who want something but don't really know where to get it. You can help them out too. So going back to when you made the transition, you were saying you when you left your job, so that was to do land full time, right? So what
Right.
was what was that like when you made the decision? Were you overjoyed, or just walk us through that whole kind of experience?
I was physically sick. So
No
all I
kidding.
saw was what I was going to lose. I was going to lose my benefits.
Right.
I was going to lose structure. I was going to lose, this potential income that was pretty good at the time. I didn't realize what I was going to gain and all the energy that would come with those gains. And so I was like trying to negotiate with them. I'm like, look, let's just do a consulting agreement. I'll keep my benefits. And like, no, you're either all in or all out. I'm like, I'm out. And I'll never forget
Wow.
that ride home after I finally made the decision. It was just a pure relief
No
that
way.
now I'm going to
Nice.
do something just 100% for me. And I've
Right.
made this decision and I'm going to go for it. And that was the really up until the point of just them kind of forcing my hand and saying you're all in or all out, and I'm all out. I was miserable. I was sick.
Sure. That's awesome. Okay. So after you started doing it full time, what was that like? I mean, do you remember like the first day you're like, okay, now it's just me, it's just the land business. What was that kind of experience like those first maybe 6 months to a year? How was that for you? Were you just doing the same thing that you had been doing, just now
Yeah,
full
I was
time?
doing the same thing, and I just kept trying to grow it. Can I buy more land? Can I do a bulk deal? Can I sell more land? Or the more places to sell? I just wanted to grow.
Now, were you always,
So
oh, go
yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
I was going to say, were you always kind of like were you always kind of an entrepreneur at heart, and did this come naturally to you, or did you find yourself like hitting ceilings and then having to break through, and then it turned you into a different person, or were you always kind of very self-motivated, self-driven, and always kind of it just came naturally to you?
Yeah, I mean, the entrepreneurial thing, the love of it came naturally to me. Now, being good at it didn't, but the love of it definitely did. I mean, when I was a kid, I was that kid that had the lemonade stand, and then I had a little cookie company. Remember those big cookies?
Yeah.
So I would go
Yeah.
around the neighborhood, and like my neighbor and I, for the summer, like we made like 3 grand selling cookies to
No
the
way.
neighbors and everybody. And it was all profit because we were using our parents' ingredients. And so then I was the corsage guy in high school. If you wanted to get any kind of corsage or any kind of flowers for prom or homecoming, I was like the mafia. You had to go through me. You couldn't get it anywhere else. So I made money doing that. And
Nice.
so all along the way, my dad owned a wholesale warehouse. So he was an entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. So
Oh,
I had
nice.
this really nice sort of base of like, this is what it looks like. And, my dad was a workaholic. So I just thought you just work, everybody works hard. I didn't realize, oh, there's a smart way to work. I don't have
Right,
to like, it
right.
doesn't have to be me. And
Yeah.
really, and that's how I kind of figured out like scaling for me was very, very difficult because I never had anybody as a good mentor teach me how to scale. I actually go out and find a mentor who was like,
Yeah, so,
Mark, you're not an entrepreneur. You just got a better job for yourself.
right. So obviously at the time, like it wasn't like, now there's land courses. There's plenty of people offering, teaching you how to sell land. But when you had to do it on your own, how long was it before you said, okay, I'm getting kind of bottlenecked here? And then how long was it before you started to find those coaches and those mentors that could help you take it to the next level?
Right. So from I quit my job in 2001, 2001 to 2010, man, did I make a lot of money. Like I made millions and millions of dollars.
That's awesome.
But I talk about in Dirt Rich, like, okay, but I had Parkinson's, a lot of money. I just, everything that came in, I kept spending. And
Sure.
I was having a good old time. So once things started to slow down in 2010 and 50% of my income went away, I'm like, man, there's got to be like, I got to figure this out and I got to figure this out fast. I need help. Like it was the first time I really took an ego hit.
Oh, gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
and so like I was pretty obnoxious. Like I thought, oh, I know this better than anyone.
Sure.
And I didn't. So my buddy who sold his company for $360 million was a really great mentor. And his
Sure.
mentor is a billionaire.
No kidding.
And
Okay.
so this guy was like, yeah, you're no entrepreneur. He's like, he's like, and so he kind of walked me through everything and how to create processes and systems and how to get out of the business. And I did this
Sure.
kicking and screaming. And that whole process probably took, you know, 5 years before I was completely able to, get to where I am now, where like an hour a week in the
Right.
business.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to let go of sales. I like sales. I wouldn't let go of county research. I wouldn't trust anybody.
Sure.
Um, due diligence, like, okay, did you screw it up? I have to check everything
Yeah,
three
right.
times where I would
Sure.
buy. Um, so it really, I really didn't want to let go.
I got you.
It
I
took a
mean,
long
especially
time.
especially because this is like it's not something that other people were doing at the time. Like it's not like operating a hamburger stand where there's tons of those businesses. You're in a unique niche, so to just give up, not only your not to step back, but also it's you did things in a proprietary way, and there are probably things that you didn't feel comfortable sharing at first, but it sounds like you got mentoring from a billionaire. Is that right?
Well, no, his mentor was a billionaire. I mean,
Oh,
he's
okay,
worth like
gotcha.
300 something million.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll,
So, okay.
his second project he's doing now, he will be a billionaire.
No kidding. That's
Yeah.
very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then when you said, during the boom from like what, 2001 to 2010, I remember you told us like one time at a boot camp where you said you would buy, I think it was 40-acre parcels from the railroad company.
Hmm.
Is that right? And then you were selling. So who would you sell them? You just put them online, like,
Yeah, I put him online.
and
And
was it just cash buyers, or were you doing term
it
sales
was
at that point?
mainly cash up until about 2007.
Oh, okay,
And
gotcha.
then I started doing terms and figuring that out. Because
Okay.
after, I mean, I was doing it for but it was a lot of cash. And like, this is a hustle.
Yeah, right.
Like this is got to be a better way to do this.
So
And that's when
then,
I figured out terms.
so were you buying it from you're buying it from like the railroad company? Is that right? Did,
Yeah, yeah.
did,
I borrowed $1 million from them.
wait, you
They
borrowed the
they
money
owner
from them?
financed it. Yeah,
Oh, I gotcha. And then
yeah.
did they ever care? Did they ever get wise? Like, wow, this guy's like totally killing
No,
it, or
they
they didn't
they
care?
didn't want the land. They wanted the minerals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. So you would sell the land, but what the minerals were,
the
they
minerals
bring.
were not included. If they wanted the
Oh, okay,
minerals,
gotcha.
they'd
You'd
have
have
to
to
go
buy
to
the
this
mineral
company to
rights.
buy them, to buy
Oh,
the mineral
okay,
rights.
gotcha.
But we had a geologist go out there and investigate it. And the guy's like, I'm like, should I buy the mineral rights? He's like, no, there's nothing of value here. I'm like, okay. So we didn't.
That's that's awesome. That is such a cool story. So, because I was going to ask you, so so two questions. One, your most like profitable deal, and then what's your favorite deal?
Well, the most profitable deal is
And
my
you don't have to
favorite
go into
deal.
like specifics, but just
It
generally
was
speaking.
that first Nevada deal to this day. I mean, I made $5 million on one deal. So
No
that was
way.
my
Wow.
favorite deal.
Wow. So wait,
And
what was the deal? Like what, how
well,
many, like was,
I was buying these properties from the railroad for like 30 to 50 bucks an acre,
oh
subdividing
my
them
gosh.
into 40s, and then selling them online and making 300 to 500 bucks an acre, selling for 300
Wow.
500 bucks an acre.
Damn.
It was just
Okay.
it was a machine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. So that's probably the most profitable. Was that also your favorite one too, I assume?
that was my favorite one. Yeah.
So so did you know kind of when you first entered into that agreement it would be that profitable, or was it kind of a nice
No,
surprise, like, wow, like this is like,
I dipped my toe in the water. I tested the first section, about one section.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Give me the worst section you have. I wanted to
Okay.
see, like, can I sell the hardest to sell land?
Yeah,
And I
right.
did. Now, after I tested it then, I'm like, if I can sell this
Yeah.
and there's a market for this land, I'm
Yeah.
like, what's the most I can buy within this price range? And that's when I did the big deal.
I gotcha. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That is so cool. Yeah, I'm so glad you shared that story. I'd heard like a little, I heard some of it at a boot camp, but that's amazing. So that was up in Nevada. Very cool.
Yeah.
Um, so then, since then, obviously now you've kind of worked your way out of it. But what is like your passion now with land? Is it still teaching, or is that like kind of the
Well,
big
yeah.
interest in it?
No one's ever really, after they buy a piece of land from me, never said to me, "Hey, Mark, you changed my life with this 40-acre parcel." But
Sure.
people that have been able to retire their spouses, quit their jobs, replace their income, spend so much more time with their family, like they're emotionally so grateful. And it to me, like I can die in peace professionally. Like that, there's nothing better than having this really tremendous impact on somebody's life and
Yeah,
quality of life.
for sure.
So that's definitely my passion. I love it. I love the fact that I'm so clear on what my vision is. Like I want people to get out of solo economic dependency, which means if they're not working, they're not making any money because there's so much risk in it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And for me, like
yeah,
I'm doing land part time, but it's something that using all the things that you've taught me and your team has taught me, I've been able to build up steady income. Now I'm finally taking some money out of the business. So it's definitely something that I've used all the things that you've taught. I've implemented them. I've improved them. And yeah, it's nice to have that stream of cash flow coming in every month. And it's
yeah,
also just something that, like in the Shawshank Redemption, Andy Dufresne's tunneling out of his jail cell. Like every night he's scraping a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's so motivating to have that you can help buyers that are stuck. You can help sellers that want to buy land, but they don't know how, or they don't have enough to just buy cash. And you can teach them that, hey, I can owner finance it for you. And then also you can work your way out of, like you said, solo economic dependency, and you can make it on your own.
yeah.
So for me it's been awesome. I mean, I love doing it. Yeah, it's just such a better fit. I mean, even at my when I first had my Bitcoin business, it was so motivating for me to know that if I helped this person out, I could make a little bit of money, and it was money that I earned, that I made, that I got to keep for myself. And when you're able to do that with land, it's also very cool to be motivated by helping other people, but also helping yourself, instead of just doing a job you don't like and then hoping they recognize you and then they'll give you more work that you're not really crazy about. So it's a very,
Yeah.
very uh, cool thing to be a part of. So going forward, are you always going to be kind of associated with land, or what's kind of next for you?
Yeah, no, I love land. I love the land business. I love teaching it. I'm working on the second book to scale your land business. And I think that, certainly there probably will be a point in time where, I might pass the baton on to someone else
Sure, sure.
with the training, but, I'm never going to retire. I love to work. I love to create value. I don't know how that would evolve at this point,
Sure.
but I have a lot of interest. So who knows?
So you've written Dirt Rich. Second book.
He's going to be, I don't know. Maybe it's like dirt richer or dirt free. You know,
Yeah,
um,
right.
how to scale your land business.
But how do you have anything like kind of in the pipeline? Like, do you have like ideas like, yes, I definitely want to write more books, or I want to do more different things, or you're already kind of doing what you want to be
I,
doing?
yeah, I'm already kind of doing what I want to do. Um, but I'm sure there's always more mountains to climb.
Right.
So who knows?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we wrap up, you always end with a tip of the week. So I got to ask you, I'm flipping the tables. What's your tip of the week?
Boy, my tip of the week.
See, it's not easy when you're on the spot.
No, it's not. I mean, you know, there is a app out there, and I've talked about this on the podcast, but I'm really loving it. It's Airtable. If you're not using
Sure.
Airtable.com, you're eating gruel.
So how do you use Airtable? Because I use it for my business. But how do you like? What do you use it for? What types of things do you use it for? Just business
Man,
stuff or even personal stuff?
all business stuff. Like the whole business is processed out, mapped out. We've got Zaps for our CRM. It's our whole CRM is built in Airtable. Um, all the inventories in there.
Right.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Awesome. Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna end the interview there. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with all the people that are gonna watch this. And
Yeah.
yeah, just hang on. I'll be talking to you soon. One sec.
All
Thanks.
right.